Hello, beautiful people. I am Serval, and today will be my first video about Genshin Impact, though it will absolutely not be the last. Today, I'll be talking about my top 5 Genshin characters, and along with some honorable mentions. Before we begin, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you know when I make a new video. Starting strong at number 5, we have Navia. Navia is a Giro Claymore user from Fontaine, and was made playable relatively recently. When I saw her demo, which is linked below, by the way, all of them are linked below, I fell in love with her and was determined to pull for her, because she's just so badass. Thankfully, I got her on the first day, and she has been in my party ever since, doing up to 34k damage with her elemental skill, which consists of her turning her umbrella into a fucking cannon. Her voice lines are also very wholesome, which is a surprise, and it's hard to tell that they're being told by a literal mafia boss. Yeah, I'm not joking. Like, she's seriously a mafia boss. Number 4 is Kaveh. Kaveh is a Dendro Claymore user from Sumeru. You might notice a trend throughout this video, but I do admit I love Claymore users. 3 out of the 4 characters in my party are Claymore users, the other being a sword user, Xingqiu, that I honestly only use for the bloom effect with Kniech and Vaporize with Gaming. Kaveh is a scholar at the academia and lives with Al-Haytham, who I am convinced is his boyfriend. His backstory just shows that he's very gullible and honestly not very great with money. His father died in quicksand while exploring the desert, and that's basically all we know about his life before becoming an architect. He was famous in Sumeru for making the Palace of Alcazar, though despite his fame, he is very broke. While constructing it, a withering zone came in and destroyed it, and he begged Dory, the client, aka a piece of shit, to get a second chance at the project. That's when the bad money choices came in. Dory said he could rebuild it if she gave him a quote-unquote loan of something like, I don't know, 1,000,000 Mora, which is the game's currency, putting him in debt for the rest of his life. And because of this, he would seriously be homeless if Al-Haytham didn't provide him with shelter. So basically, or obviously, Dory is not going to show up on this list. If I do like a top 5 of my most hated, she will be number 1. I also want to talk about his character demo, because it would be a disservice to Kaveh to not talk about his character demo. It's a pretty average demo. The music is amazing. He introduces himself, he's shown fighting, and then we get a close-up of his vision. But the thing is, it's also a close-up of his ass. At 44 seconds, being the most replayed part of the demo, he then says the attack line, "Feast your eyes!" And I'm just like, oh yes, Kaveh, I have feasted my eyes. Number 3 is Tighnari. He's the only bow user on here. I do not really like bow users, but I don't have him, so I've never really used him. But he's a Dendro bow user from Sumeru. He's a bit of a controversial character because of his old voice actor, Elliot Gindi. He was accused and shamelessly admitted to sexually harassing fans of the series, most of which were minors. So he was immediately replaced by Zachary Gordon as the voice of Tighnari. Anyway, voice actor drama aside, Tighnari is one of my favorite characters for 2 reasons. His design, I want to draw him so bad. And 2, his personality. His design is just beautiful. I love these color, not using too much green, but also using it to emphasize that he has a Dendro vision. He is described by everyone as a kind person who takes care of others, even taking in Kale when she was a kid and housing Kaveh after the Withering Zone destroyed the Palace of Alcazar. Overall, he's just a cool dude. Number 2 is Scaramouche, aka Wanderer. Skara is an Animal Catalyst user from Inazuma, who is probably the most emo of emo boys in Genshin. Yes, even you, D. Luke.
Some use the wind's whistling to drown out the sound of their crimes.
He was a puppet created by the Electro Archon Raiden Shogun, who is also the ruler of Inazuma. However, she saw him as a worthless object and dropped him in front of some random domain. He gets found by a blacksmith family and lives with them for a while. It was never specified exactly what happened, but they had, quote, betrayed him, forcing him to leave and wander. This was when he found a little boy who he became close friends with and lived with for a little while. Though one night, he came back to find the little boy dead on the floor of their house. He flew into a rage and burned the place to the ground, despising humans and gods alike, for they had all betrayed him 3 times throughout his short life. With this trauma and hate, he joined the Fatui and became the 6th of the Fatui Harbingers, though it would have been in his position for an opportunity of godhood in Sumeru. He put the citizens of Sumeru through over 100 cycles of the same day and event to gain his power, but was stopped when the Traveler and Nahida, the Dendro Archon, stopped him by taking his Gnosis. He falls to the ground and probably gained severe head trauma, but anyway, after his time as a villain, he joins our side, and eventually regains his memories, which probably was a huge mistake. If I was told to relive my trauma, I would not do it. But he welcomed it for some fucking reason, and while he was reliving his trauma, he was on the ground holding his head in pain while past Scaramouche, or Wanderer, whatever you want to call him, shows up and tries to kill them all, including him. This was when he had my favorite Scar line, even if it's just one word, when he gets his Anemo vision.
Die.
And of course, number 1, he has already been mentioned, my baby, my son, Gaming. Gaming is a Pyro Claymore user from Liyue and is probably the most wholesome boy in all of Genshin, completely overthrowing Toma on his throne of wholesomeness. He is a guard from the Secure Transport Agency, though his passion lies with wushu dancing, which he does in his idol animations, which I will show here. Unfortunately, his dad was a complete asshole who would verbally abuse him when he would talk about wushu dancing, so he ran away to Liyue Harbor to get a job and pursue his passion for dance. And just so you know, his mom was a bitch too.
I was a little monster when I was a kid. I'd get into trouble then refuse to apologize, and my exasperated mom would say, "I wish I'd given birth to a chunk of chasyu instead of you." Now, every time I eat chasyu, it makes me think of her.
And now on to some honorable mentions. I need to mention Child/Tartaglia, the character who had become a meme in the community with just his first line.
Hey girlie, hold still.
And I've actually met his voice actor, Griffin Burns, at a con recently. Nouvellette also became a meme after his...
According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale. We now turn to the Oratrice Mécanique d'Analyse Cardinale.
And the last one I will mention today is the one and only Numero Uno Ito. I hope y'all liked today's video. I will link all the demos for the characters mentioned in the description below. This will absolutely not be my last Genshin video, for it will be a hyperfixation for a long time, and y'all gotta deal with it. Anyway, I'll see y'all in the next video. Bye.